welcome to a Saturday night edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, Indonesian edition. We are two retired New York City police detectives, and if you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, consider hitting the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. Tonight, Ed is on location from Indonesia. We are now international. Crime Time with DutyRon. How's everything going over there, Ed?
Going good, Ron. I just haven't gotten fully adjusted to the time change, so my sleep is off.
Yeah. How long of that? How long travel-wise, hours-wise? Let the audience know what you just endured the last couple of days.
So my first flight was 14 hours from Newark, and then my second flight was 8 hours. Then I had a layover in Jakarta. We spent got in on the 11th. I mean, got in on the 1st, rather, December 1st, at about 11:55 p.m. And then after going through customs and getting our bags and our visa, then entered the country, got on a shuttle, went to a hotel, and slept for a little bit, then got up again, and we were out the door on the 2nd at noon, and went back to the airport and took our final leg to our final destination in Indonesia.
Let me tell you, that sounds exhausting to me, Ed, but you're used to this. You're like a prize fighter. You're used to traveling, and to me, I told you I would be exhausted and out of commission for 4 days just trying to recover from that travel going there. So kudos to you, my brother. Hey, so we're going to talk tonight, but before we get into it, I want to say thank you to all of the supporters, the folks who subscribe, the channel members, the Patreon supporters, the moderators, the replay viewers. You guys are what makes this an unbelievably great place to be. And Ed and I give thanks and praise to you, the community here on Crime Time with DutyRon. So thank you to everybody who engages us with questions and sending stuff over onto DutyRon.com. The questions are there's never a stupid question, so keep them coming, and we appreciate it. So I wanted to ask quick, Ed, we see some additional photos that were released by the press, photos through the windows depicting different forensic items, a handprint on one. I just wanted you to talk to the audience about what we're going to show in a few minutes, what potentially we could be looking at here, obviously pending, analysis and so forth.
Yeah, so a lot of these press agencies have gotten photographs taken from outside of the crime scene, of the crime scene investigators all around one particular window in the backyard by the sliding glass door. I believe it's the window to the kitchen, but I could be wrong. But I'm trying to do some comparison between several different types of photos, and it appears to be the kitchen window where they're processing it for a handprint on the outside of the house. But through that kitchen window, it appears there's in the background a kitchen cabinet that has some blood stains on them, including some rivulets of blood flowing downwards. And then in another photograph, there appears to be some latent fingerprint powders on the wall and some possible blood stains. This is the one right here that is looking through another window. Now, these are awning windows. They crank open, to your left and to your right from the center. And the window I was just recently talking about, the kitchen window, that was a double hung window that slides up and down. So this appears to be maybe a bedroom, because these windows are seen on several of the bedroom windows. This is believed to be the kitchen window, sloppy kitchen table that you would, listen, I've seen tons of these in college dorm rooms, in college off-campus apartments and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially, party houses. So here's a bedroom window. Obviously, there's no, appears to be no central air conditioning because you got a window air condition, but through the open Venetian blinds there, you see a large screen either monitor or TV, and said that no network detected, and there's some kind of something on there that might be forensic evidence. Don't know if that's any blood or anything like that. But if you go back to that photo with the grass, Ron.
I will, but what about this in the corner? Is that damage to the LCD screen? You see it up top here, and you see this a very weird shaped.
Well, that, you have the window here. You have the window kind of cutting it out,
Right.
and it might be just a article of clothing on the other side of the windowsill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You said you wanted me to go back here?
Yeah, that one. Now look to the right, folks. I don't know what this shadow is here, but it seems blurred, and it looks like a combination of to the right there. Yeah,
but we have
looks
it up
like,
here too. This type of screen.
I don't know what this is. Is it blood? Is it on the walls? Is it a combination of fingerprint powder and blood? I don't know what's going on there. I wish I can get a better photo of it.
Right, and I'm seeing some kind of blurring here on the outside, and I'm wondering if this is something from a photogenic.
Might be a shadow.
Right, because I see it up here by the Good Vibes, and we looked at the TikToks of the young ladies dancing and having a good time, and having some drinks in this location, and I do believe this is this living room slash. I'm not really. I'd have to go and look at the TikToks again. So let's look into the chat, and you guys let us know. I think
saw
this was like living room slash kitchen area. I'm not sure.
I saw clearer photos of this in the UK, newspaper.
I'm on the Daily Mail site right now. Ed, you scan the chat, and I'm going to look to see if there's anything a little bit better here. But again, pending forensic analysis, I mean, a lot of this stuff, and I'm looking at it a little bit clearer, and it definitely looks like there's some type of blurry leaves from the tree at one point.
Yeah, definitely a flash caught it and projected it, and it's in the photo as a shadow. But there's, like I said, I saw clearer photographs than what we're showing here, and I believe this was from an American news organization, but there was definitely clearer photos of this.
This is a different photo. This is now a different photo of the same shot, but this is zoomed in, and this appears to be on the wall. Some kind of.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a shadow.
Yeah, I don't think that is.
No.
That's the living room on the second floor. And there's TikToks that we could look at, and you could see the girls underneath that sign. And everybody partying along. It looks like a beer, Bud Light, lime beer can there.
Bottle. Let's go to the
to
the kitchen photo through that window.
All right. Hold on a second. Let me get this off. Kitchen photo through that window. Okay. Is it this one, Ed? Before I get onto it.
Yeah, no, the next one, the one that has the higher view. No, that's not in that. It's not in that news story.
I mean, they all have 16 photos, and I think they're all the same 16 photos, but it might be in a. Let me just go through them all. This one.
That one. Zoom in if we can zoom in.
All right, let me make it full screen.
All right, yeah, you see in the background there, folks, if we can get a closer picture, you see what appears to be some rivulets and some blood right to the right. Now, this is, again, I believe this is the kitchen, and that could be a cabinet. Can you all see that?
Yeah, initially I thought it was a door frame, but I'm not sure.
I don't read. There's no door unless there's a closet. There's no door to get into the kitchen. It's a step down, and then you make a right turn.
So Leroy sends in a super chat and says cartel hit. Nobody knows. There's people talking about that, but I would say it's not probable.
Can you zoom in a little further?
If I had my laptop,
can you right click? Can you right click and then
No.
No. All right. Yeah, because on other photos that I saw, up in that upper right-hand corner of the frame, you see what looks like a contact transfer, possibly, and then you see these rivulets coming down.
Yeah.
And see, now I was looking, I was a little bit confused, and I'm trying to compare and contrast interior photos of the kitchen and another series of photos through the sliding glass door into the kitchen to see if that, in fact, is in the kitchen. Because initially, I was, seeing that white cloth material, I thought it might be bedding, and that might be the headboard of a bed. But I do believe it was the kitchen, because I found plenty of photos of crime scene detectives on the outside of the house processing this window.
Josh just taught me.
Oh, there you go.
Control.
There you go. All right. Can everybody see all of that? Can you see what looks like rivulets of blood flowing down on there?
Yeah, you can see small, short ones here.
Yeah, and you go
and
above
then
it. It starts on top of it.
yeah, I
Too.
see it here.
Yeah, and then it's flowing down, especially on the right side, right there. Yeah,
that goes all the way down.
You think that might be a sheet? Might be a sheet cut.
Yeah, there's evidence tape over the window.
Right. Could that be a sheet or some kind of
looks like a robe?
Robe or some covering a victim? Don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, this is now I can go back to some of those photos thanks to Josh educating me. This is how everybody knows how far behind I am in the tech times. I spent the whole day trying to figure out my audio got ruined on this computer. So yeah, that's concerning, Ed, because we see this stuff and you're getting a better look inside to see how really gruesome this crime scene is. And this is just probably a small tidbit of what these investigators are looking at. Let's just play a little clip from Xana's mom. She talked with Banfield last night, and she was making her voice heard that they were not pleased with the communication from the police. So I'm just going to play this while we look for any other additional clips. I'll start looking around while we play this.
Denise Northington is on the phone with me now. Cara, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Can I just ask you off the bat how you are getting by in this terribly sorrowful time?
Not very easily. Not good. I mean, I don't know what to say to that.
I can't even imagine the pain that you and your family are going through. Have the police been helpful to you, Cara, to understand some of the things they can and can't say?
Honestly, no. Honestly, no. They haven't said anything. I learn more on the news and on TV than they have said to me.
Have you had a chance to talk with some of the other parents of the other 3 kids who were there that night and share information amongst yourselves?
Not really, honestly. I've just been dealing with my family, and we've just been absorbing this shock.
Can you tell me, Cara, what you do know about this terrible night?
Well, what I do know is not nearly enough. We need more answers. There is so much more that can be done that has not been done. And I just know that there's GPS, NASA to find out who went into that home that night. I know that.
All right, so it was a little muffled, and I just wanted to stop it. She says NASA can find out who went into the home that night. And no disrespect to Xana's mom, if that was the case, we would be able to use NASA to solve a lot of crimes. But unfortunately, listen, this is a mom who is grieving the loss of her daughter. And I'll just say this: she's definitely misinformed. That technology is not available to law enforcement, and if it was, then we wouldn't need to have surveillance cameras and so forth. But again, this is a grieving mom, so I give her the space and the respect.
Well, she may have been confused about saying NASA, the National Aeronautical Space, versus NSA. Where she might think the NSA has that kind of technology. But you would be tasking satellites to look down on people. I mean, what type of technology is she thinking? Is she thinking about cellular technology or cell phone tracking or something? Because law enforcement has access to that, especially the FBI. I don't understand.
Yeah. Hey, Ray Kelly, it's good to see you. Yeah, Ed, it's frustrating, but again, you could hear she's definitely distraught, and rightfully so. She lost her daughter. Let's let the rest of this play. I'll go full screen with it. Just a couple more minutes.
Why hasn't that been looked at? And you got home that night. I know that. Why hasn't that been looked into? Why hasn't that been accessed?
Can I, Cara, can I ask you there is a mysterious sort of 4-hour and 45-minute block of time that's unaccounted for by the police timeline. The police say that your daughter, Xana, and her boyfriend, Ethan, were at the Sigma Chi house from 8 until 9 p.m., but then they don't have any information on where they were from 9 p.m. till 1:45 a.m. Do you know anything about that from either your information from the police or Ethan's family or anybody?
I may be candid in saying this, but I think that they were at a bar.
And where do you get that information from? Did someone tell you that they'd gone from the Sigma Chi house to a bar before they ended up home?
That's what their father conveyed to me, that he thought that they were at the bar that night. So, yeah, I mean, that's what college kids do on the weekends. So.
But you don't know for sure that they left the Sigma Chi house, went to a bar?
Okay. I don't know for sure, absolutely not.
And have the police asked you any questions about where Xana might have been, or if she texted you, or if she had, if she'd communicated with any family members in that period of time?
No, no answers whatsoever. Really. I asked the investigators when they come and spoke to me. They were not able to offer me any answers. None.
Can I ask you, Xana's sister Jasmine has put such a beautiful tribute to Xana on her Instagram. And I wonder if she has any additional information, just perhaps from being able to access her sister's social media or her phone. Has Jasmine been able to ascertain any other details of what happened that night, or where Xana and Ethan were that night?
No, I'm not going to speak for Jasmine. You would have to ask her that yourself. And she says she's going through it right now without her sister. And I'm sure if she had any answers or any information, she's already conveyed that to the investigator.
May I ask you if you can confirm that Xana's room was on the second floor of the house?
Yes, I can confirm that. And
was it on?
These are some looks, Ed, from their TikToks, and I could show that because I have.
Yeah, that one view of the kitchen shows what I believe to be the cabinets.
All right, let's go back.
Go back a little further. All right there. Don't go too far.
It's right after this, right?
It's with the officer standing in the door.
She says she's going through it right now.
Not that one.
Yeah, I think it's coming up.
Okay, see the cabinets behind the officer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be what we're looking at, where I believe that blood is there.
So it's obviously through this window.
This window, yeah. Right. So and there's a table to his right.
Yeah, that shot is straight through that window.
Table
And
2
then-
our right,
Yeah.
his left. Okay.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Let me see if there's a better. Yeah, right there. And then we see a lot of stuff here. There's a garbage can and stuff. Yeah.
We can base that to the investigator.
May I ask you if
Yes, I can confirm that. And you know,
And was it on-
I do.
sorry?
So this is what we were just looking at in the red here. And then the window.
Yeah, the window is to
Yeah.
just a little over more, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, the other way, towards the door.
Right. The window was here.
No, that's the
No,
door.
right there.
Right there, right there.
Yeah.
That's where it is. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So looking, and so the cabinet's probably somewhere here along this wall.
Next to the, by the refrigerator there.
Yeah. All right. Ed, they said that some of the DNA is starting to come back now. In your experience with the lab, I mean, I know New York City is different. You guys had your own dedicated lab, DNA and evidence processing or whatever. What's the time frame when you job this stuff out, when it goes out somewhere else? Is this right around the time? 3 weeks? Tomorrow's 3 weeks?
Several weeks, yeah. That's about right, especially if they have to, fly it to a location to do.
A lot of people are circling back to the food truck guy that was cleared very quickly. And I said this myself. I said, if I was investigating this case, I would be asking for mouth swabs from that guy. And I certainly hope, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you feel that the guy who was shadowing them, that they cleared really fast? Do you think that they potentially could have asked him for DNA and cleared him that way? Because that's would be the only way that I would feel comfortable with him being cleared based on his actions.
Well, I'm not going to get into that part of the investigation because I don't handle that. I deal with the forensics and science, but I'd be asking him if he'd volunteer a DNA sample.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay. And if his DNA pops in there, now he's got some explaining to do.
Yeah.
How's your DNA in this one? Have you ever visited this location before? Have you ever met these girls before? What's your connection to them? Or is this the first time you're meeting them at this food truck? Those are things that like a regular detective, squad detective or homicide detective would be interviewing and asking of this person. But I would definitely be looking for like the law student, and he volunteered his DNA. He said, "Look, these people are pointing a finger at me."
Yeah, he walked in the precinct and asked for it, but it was just, to me, I felt that they cleared him really quick, and they cleared a lot of people real quick, but they didn't say how they cleared them. What was their alibis? I know that's part of the investigation. They're not going to give that up, but the bottom line is that, again, in my eyes, he acted the most shady on camera that we were able to see by ghosting or following them around and just paying so close attention to their movements and mannerisms. And in the piece that I have here, they say that Kaylee and Madison were cremated already, and their ashes are at home together. Ed, this brings me back to some of these cases like Cassie Carley, right?
It's tough to tell the family to pump the brakes. Okay. And, but, by going to that extreme measure, okay, there's no second chances here. And if something was missed or something could have been learned after the fact, and then the body had more information to be gleaned, it's gone now.
Yeah, it's really disturbing
Yeah.
to me.
So there was, first of all, I wanted to answer that first thing I posted there from the chat. I'm not on vacation, folks. When I do these travels, I'm working. Okay. I'm here in Indonesia working for the State Department.
Army training?
Army training, sir. And Cheryl, yes, I was on a 9/11 documentary about the 9/11 crime scene investigators. So that was me when I had very, very, very short hair.
Yeah, Ed, you were. I saw that. You looked handsome in that. Jennifer Lynn sends in Jennifer Lynn Gibbs sends in a $5 super chat. And she says Kaylee's family is talking about a she that was cleared too quickly. Video on Newsnation. Interview with Brian Entin. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for that. Rachel Rogers, thank you for the $10 super chat with no message, but thank you so much for that. Let's play this. I'm not sure if this is it, but this is the dad talking about people being cleared too quickly. I'm pretty sure this is it.
If they are making any, and I have to wrap it up, but are they making any memorial plans for Kaylee? Because I know that they've said they're fearful that the killer is probably still in the area, probably was at the vigil Wednesday night, and they are desperately fearful that the killer may show up at a memorial for Kaylee.
At some point they will have one, but you mentioned it. They are not comfortable doing it at this moment. I'll tell you though, Ashley, it was so sad. I was in their home and they had Kaylee's ashes there, and they also had her best friend Maddie's ashes there, and they had the ashes next to each other because these were best friends forever. And it was so heartbreaking to see that. I mean, it's just unbelievable what these families are going through.
Oh, Brian, that is just an incredible detail. They have both girls' ashes together in their home, and they just said on Wednesday night that they died together in the same room, in the same bed, as these best friends would probably be late on a Saturday night. Does that mean that Maddie's parents, the Mogens, are going to be picking up those ashes soon for their own funeral plans?
Well, they told me, these families are very close. They told me that Maddie's parents wanted Maddie's ashes to be by Kaylee's ashes right now. So that's why they have them together at the house right now, because it's bringing some comfort right now to the families.
I don't even know what to say about that. I can't compute. Brian, excellent job. Thank you for hustling and getting that interview done and getting their voices on the air. I'm just going to add to what you've been saying that Steve Goncalves has asked if the public can please think about any car video you might have. Lots of cars have cameras, lots of them. And if you were anywhere near Moscow, Idaho, anywhere in Moscow, Idaho, that night, 3 weeks ago tomorrow, please come forward. He says Tesla's cameras don't shut off when you shut off the car. So if you have these videos, please share them with the police, because you have no idea the wealth of information that just might be in there. Thank you for.
So I wanted to just say this. Thank you guys for the super chats. Ed, I'll bring you and I back on. There was a couple of pictures that were sent to me on DutyRon.com. And one of them is a picture of two sorority house. It looked like men, young men with kind of like medieval helmet on. Did you see this picture, Ed? And there was a guy behind him with a butcher knife, a big ass long butcher knife. Did you see that photo, Ed?
No, I didn't see that photo. Was that a Halloween party?
I don't know what it was or when it was, but I appreciate one of the guys here sent a super chat and said, "Hey, could you show the picture that I sent you?" I received that picture. I don't feel comfortable showing it on a live stream.
Did you, whoever sent this, did you send it to the police?
Well, that's what I'm getting at here. And if you have that, if you still have that photo, I still have it. I just don't want to send duplicates if it was sent to the police, which it should have been. I would assume that if it's on the internet that they saw it already. But I have it, and if you could let us know here if you forwarded it to the to the Moscow Police Department, please, if you haven't, get that over there to them. If not, I will send it. Ed, again, we touched on it. It's a touchy, sticky situation to tell a parent what to do with your son or daughter's remains. But in a quadruple murder case like this, where we don't have a suspect, we don't have clarity on where they're at in the investigation, I believe, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say this, even though I feel it's a very sensitive thing to talk about. I would have highly recommended that they didn't do that.
Yeah, I would have too. You can have the coroner or the medical examiner's office, depending on the type of system in your jurisdiction, and the lead investigator for the crime sit down with the and suggest holding off on something like this. So we told you what happens in New York City if it's a cause undetermined, if they haven't been able to determine the cause and manner of death, then they're not allowed by law to cremate the body. So it's a tough situation, but just as it is so tough for us to remember when we'd have to go and make notifications that to the families, hey, we're knock on somebody's door and tell them that their loved one is dead, so forth and so on. It's something that should be done between law enforcement, maybe a united front of law enforcement and medical, forensic people get together and go consult the family and explain to the family what's going on, and it's bottom line, it's their decision if stopping them from doing it, but from a forensic standpoint, I would ask them to consider new evidence that may pop, that may be associated with examining.
What are we looking at here, Ed? Is this it looks like fingers and a partial palm print here?
Here is you have here a casement window that cranks open from the center outward. That white blur is the flash of from a 35 millimeter camera's flash that's burning into the glass, and to the lower left corner, you see what looks like 4 digits of numbers, and then the top of the palm, and it looks like it may have been processed with fingerprint powders. And there are photographs of there's this showing crime scene tech processing a window like this from the outside. I'm not sure if this is, I don't believe the flash is burning in the glass. And, there's what see, the flash should not be 90 degrees to that window. It's if the head of the flash can pivot, then you would want to pivot the flash up and put a diffuser on it so that you don't get this burn here, and you can get more detail out of the handprint.
Right.
So this is like, forensic photography 101.
Right. Now your audio keeps cutting in and out a little bit, Ed, but we're getting most of what you're saying. But what I wanted to ask you is on this photo, and I'm keeping it on the photo, Ed and I are off screen. Over here where the evidence tape is on the inside, I guess, going across so it doesn't open, you see kind of smears here or kind of drags. Would this be all something that you would take and process and these little spots here, or is this like?
Well, if it's anything that might be associated with someone touching that, and there's no ridge detail, then that could be swabbed for DNA.
Right. And this is all the white powder that they use to actually highlight these images.
Yeah. And a good trick for something like this, to illuminate the window from the side, take the flash off the camera and take the flash off to the side wall of the, and then flash at an oblique angle so that you don't get this burn here. And it seems like it obliterated part or developed with the fingerprint powder.
Right.
And the possible left hand, and the thumb digit doesn't appear on the right side.
Oh, so it would be over here. Yeah.
Yeah, the thumb would be there where your cursor is.
Yep. Wendy, thank you for the super chat. She says, thank you both for being so informative and sharing your professional knowledge on these cases. Thank you, Wendy Johnson from Ed Wallace and I. Kimberly Culp, thank you for the $10 super chat. Or that might be a super sticker. There's no message in there, but thank you, Kimberly. Yeah, Ed, there's I'm caught up on the girls being cremated already, having their ashes at home. I mean, I just can't stop thinking about that. You know, I'm thinking about Cassie Carley, you know, what the situation that Ray and the whole family are in right now. They essentially wish that they didn't do that. And they were told by the coroner in Alabama that we got this. We got enough evidence at the autopsy to give you the blessing to do what you want to do. And like you said, in New York City, that's not even an option. You know, Barbara Butcher, and you worked for her. She's
it's not an option. All is undetermined. The copy. If and it's you know, they have the cause and manner has been determined and the death certificate is signed off on. There's no law stopping the family from doing the cremation. But if it's the manner, then there is a law that states, hey, you can't do this until we figure out a cause and manner.
Right. Yeah. It's really frustrating. I'm not sure if your internet's going in and out. It's kind of spotty, but so we're catching almost all of everything that you're saying, but there's some of it that we're not. Somebody said that there was a recent interview, and if you guys can put it into the chat, I want to search for it, with the dad giving out some information about potential suspects. Did I see that right in the chat? So let's scan the chat quickly. Ed, I don't know what's happening with your internet, but you're kind of fuzzy.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm looking perfect. I'm looking fine on my end.
Well,
the camera settings.
I'll put your solo, and you're it's just.
Is anybody else seeing that out there?
Cool.
Anybody else seeing?
It's a little pixelated. Put a 1 in the chat if Ed's a little fuzzy. We need him to get clear. But I don't know. Angela, she's laughing because she knows about this stuff. Yeah, it's blurry. Princess Michelle. Here goes all the stuff. 1s are all over the place.
1s mean what?
That means they're blurry.
I'm blurry.
I'm blurry, but we can hear you okay.
I'm 12 hours away.
So yeah, exactly. I thought it was 13, but yeah, maybe it is 12. Seabreeze says, who got killed first? We don't have the answer to that. We do not have the answer to that. Can somebody put back in the chat where that interview was so I could see it? It was, I think, an hour ago. I know that the family at the prayer vigil put the dad put out there that the girls were in the bed together. So that I know was information that we didn't have. And it was interesting to hear that. I would say, let's listen to Law and Crime with Brian Entin. It's a little bit long. Maybe we won't listen to this one. Yeah, let's listen to it because
by Law and Crime.
Hold on a second.
We are eternally grateful that we spent so much time with him. And I want to remind you that that's the most important message that we have for you and your families, is to make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people, because time is precious and it's something you can't get back.
As we continue our coverage of the University of Idaho quadruple homicide case, we thought it might be best to take a snapshot of where are we right now. There's been a lot of conflicting information and rumors and speculation. So let's try to set the record straight on what we know and what we don't know, because as of right now, there have been no arrests and no suspects publicly identified. What we do know is that 4 students were brutally killed. 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves, 21-year-old Madison Mogen, 20-year-old Xana Kernodle, and 20-year-old Ethan Chapin. Their bodies were found in their off-campus home out in the college town of Moscow. According to the Lake County coroner, the students were each stabbed and were likely asleep when this happened, although it has been indicated that there were defensive wounds. What we also know is the location of the victims in the house as well. They were found on the second and third floors. We'll get to the first floor in a second, but the second and third floors is where we're focusing. Xana and Ethan.
This drawing is from Johnny Law. Remember, we played his thing. This is that drawing that he provided on his video.
Found on the second floor. It's believed that they were in a relationship together. And then Kaylee and Madison, who had been longtime childhood friends, they were found on the third floor. In fact, Kaylee's father at a candlelight vigil said that Kaylee and Madison were in the same bed when they died, which we don't believe has been positively confirmed by the police, but this could be a situation where parents and family members were told information about the case that wasn't shared with the media or the public. I actually spoke with Newsnation senior national correspondent Brian Entin, who's on the ground there and has been following this case, about this statement because he was there at that vigil, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, stunning. We did not know that beforehand. And I wasn't expecting like a big investigative piece to come out during the vigil. So that shocked me. Obviously, there's a sad component. I mean, they've been best friends forever, these two. You look at their social media, they, being best friends since they were little kids. So it was just very sad to think about that they got killed together in the bed, but also interesting when you think about the investigation. I was also thinking to myself, we had asked police many times, can you tell us where they were in the house? Can you tell us who was in the room? And they've always said, no, that would really compromise the investigation. So I was also sort of wondering, are police maybe not too pleased that little detail came out?
I should also tell you that there was no sign of forced entry or damage to the home. So it becomes a question of how did the killer or killers get access to the residence, particularly when you also consider that there were two other people in the house as well. I mentioned the first floor. Well, there were two surviving roommates who reportedly were asleep when all this was carried out. They were not attacked. They were on the first floor, but they have apparently been ruled out as suspects. I also should tell you that at the time of this recording, it's being reported that there was another person who could have lived at the residence, but was not there at the time of the killings. This comes from an Idaho State Police spokesperson. We don't have a lot of information about this potential sixth roommate right now, but hopefully we'll learn a little bit more in the days to come. What we do know is that the murder weapon, which is believed to be a fixed blade knife, has not been recovered. Interesting note about that. I sat down with legendary homicide detective Phil Waters, who had this comment about the knife.
They keep saying it's a Rambo type knife. Well, that's absolutely incorrect. It's not a Rambo type knife. In fact, I have read where they have identified the type of knife. And the type of knife that they're talking about is the United States Marine Corps K-bar. So when I saw this, my thought is this person prior military? So the specific weapon, if they're talking about a K-bar, which is what this is.
Or could someone in his home been prior military? It doesn't necessarily mean the perp is prior military, but it's a possibility.
These knives are ubiquitous. You can buy them anywhere, and they're knockoff brands made in China and overseas that are really cheap, but they look just like that. And it might not be an authentic K-bar, but it's still a similar knife with the similar features.
Right. And I want to just say this too. I said this on my last live stream, and I'm going to say it again. 2015 was the last time the Moscow Police Department has not seen a murder since 2015. Now you are looking at detectives and police officers who have not had the instance and the experience to handle and process not one, but four. Now they're handling 4 murders. And when you don't have practice at this, Ed, I want you to talk about it. I mean, in New York City Police Department, you get a lot of practice.
I said that before. Yeah. How is it now, by the way, the sound and the
perfect
the video?
That's why
it's better.
we're
Okay,
it's beautiful.
So I dropped the hard line and went to Wi-Fi. But here's the thing: it's not just the police; it's the medical examiner, coroner system. And, if you don't have all these homicides, you're not going to be practiced in doing pathology on this forensic pathology on decedents that were murdered. And prosecutors, if you're not prosecuting homicide cases, you're not going to be prepared for something like this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we said it earlier. I've said it time and again. Practice makes perfect, right? And in New York City, we were not hurting for business.
Yeah.
Okay, especially in the late 80s, early 90s, when we had thousands of homicides a year.
Yeah,
Okay, and we were
2,200
processing those crime scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and again, look at how many people are in this small little police department and how many of them are crime scene investigators. So if they're predominantly doing residential burglaries or joyriding vehicles or GLA, grand theft auto, or whatever the case may be, if they're not doing these major case crime scenes, your sex assaults, the homicides, things like that, then they're not going to be practiced in it.
Yeah. And that's what I said. When you have a situation like this and you're just thrown in there and these officers stumble across this crime scene and you haven't handled anything like this, look, they're handling assaults amongst college students in bars, disputes at parties and homes. So probably simple assaults, theft of service, so forth, things like that. Broken into apartment. These are the kind of calls that they were probably handling in this in this college town, but the bottom line is you have a complete breakdown from the top going down from what I could see. And it's out there for everybody to look at. You had the mayor of Moscow, the mayor of Moscow early on in this thing was saying on TV, it's safe. There's no danger to the community. It reminded me of the movie Jaws, right? Remember the movie Jaws where the mayor was telling the police chief, all right, he told the police chief, the 4th of July is coming and this is our time to make money. We need our people to come in. You are going to open those beaches. There's no difference here, ladies and gentlemen. The only difference is you can go from 1975 when Jaws came out, or Don't Kill Me for the Year. I don't know if it was 75, but it was in the 70s. When Jaws came out, the only difference is fast forward to 2022. That mayor was trying to quell the public and keep this is a peaceful college town. They don't want to have people take their kids away from there and not want to send them in the future. And that was a big mistake because the next day, the police chief walked that back and said, no, there is a danger. So we're seeing that fast forward into 2022 here because the mayor is not communicating with the police chief. The police chief is not communicating with the district attorney, and everybody is looking like a chicken with their head cut off. The bottom line is they need to have TAC meetings every day or conferences amongst themselves and get on the same page and get the same message out. And that unfortunately, I don't even like to say it, but I have to call it as I see it. And that's what's happening here. And the trust, Ed, in the police department and in the district attorney and the mayor are completely down. It's completely down because of how they're communicating this crime.
And it's so sad. It's so sad. It didn't need to be that way. Okay. And I mean, just a lack of communication on interagency communication, working together, coming up with one public information officer. I mean, what we learned from 9/11 is you have one face to the public that goes out and does all the press conferences. And that person has to have all the details and all the details from all the agencies involved. So fire department, EMS, medical examiner's office, law enforcement, public health, everybody that's involved gets their information to the public information officer. Everybody shares, everybody knows what each other's information is. And then we give one message to the public, okay? Right. Not multiple messages from multiple agencies that are conflicting with each other.
Amen to that. Let me just play this other piece and then we'll wrap it up because I know you got to go pretty soon. So this is Brian Entin. He's going to be interviewing the district attorney and you're going to get to hear it for yourself.
Have gone back and forth as to whether this is targeted or not. I guess they're now saying yes.
That would be Kaylee and Maddie, but we don't know which bedroom. Kaylee's on the right-hand side on the 3rd floor or Maddie's on the left-hand side of the 3rd floor.
Oh my goodness. Ashley, Brian Entin, he did interview police and the DA Police have gone back and forth as to whether this is targeted or not. I guess they're now saying, yes, it's targeted. And then the DA is saying likely not. So let's listen to this sound.
The investigators believe that whoever's responsible was specifically looking at this particular residence, but that's all that they can offer at this point.
So maybe the location was targeted, but you've said you do not, or maybe you question whether or not this was a targeted attack. Why?
I'll tell you what, Brian Entin and I work on this story every day for about 14 hours a day, and he and I are confused. So that should tell you something. I can just tell you what they have put out publicly. At the very beginning of this case, of course, everybody in Moscow, Idaho, the university campus, they were terrified. There's a deranged mass murderer on the loose. Somebody went and stabbed 4 people to death. It's a personal, horrendous, violent crime. So right away, the police said, let's pull it back a notch. This is a targeted attack, which was supposed to perhaps put the community at ease. Then they walked that back somewhat because they wouldn't say why. They wouldn't say why they thought it was a targeted attack. Understandably, they're investigating. They said that was part of the investigation. Then the interviews with the prosecutor started coming in. Brian Entin asked him very specifically about that. And he said, maybe targeted isn't the best word to use. It could be the house that was targeted or the people inside, 1 or 2 or 3, but we're not sure. Well, then that was an awkward change to the wording. And then that prosecutor did an interview with KTVB in Boise, Idaho, and said 1 person in the house was targeted. Well, that's a massive development in the story. But only hours after that tweet went out to promote that interview was coming, the city of Moscow said the police are putting out clarification again and saying, we don't even know, if the house or the people inside were targeted. Well, now everybody got into a real panic, like targeted isn't even the issue anymore. And yet again, last night, another clarification. The final clarification may have been an issue of semantics, Adrian, and that is that, let's walk that one back. We do know there's a targeting, 100%. It's a targeted attack. What we don't know is if it's the house or the people. So hopefully that provides some clarity, but it's been very, very difficult for the journalists covering the story moment to moment, let alone the people who live there and the kids on campus and the parents who send their kids there or may have sent their kids back there after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that here we are. This is week 3, and tomorrow is the 3rd week.
This is public information 101. You don't put out information that is not fully vetted.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's not supported by all the evidence, if you don't know
Don't put it
for
out.
sure, then you say nothing about that.
Right. Yeah.
Until you confirm it.
And this is why
Okay.
I said that they're not communicating with each other. The DA is not communicating with the police chief and vice versa. And, we haven't heard from that mayor since he made a fool of himself on national television. He has been out of the picture. Somebody told him, go home and smoke your corncob pipe and hang out at home. But he hasn't made one statement. If you got, I don't know, is anybody paying attention in the chat? Let me know if you saw ever since that statement that it's safe to go out and there's no danger to the community. Did anybody see this mayor come out, the mayor of Moscow, come out and say anything? No, because they told him to shut up.
There's nothing wrong if you're a public information officer or you're a police chief or a mayor or coroner or a prosecutor being asked a question and you don't know the answer to it, to say, hey, I don't know the answer to that. I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then go get the answer and get back to them. Okay. It's then rather than saying something is not true or isn't supported yet.
Yeah. These things get me really pissed because we're talking about a quadruple murder here. 2 20-year-olds and 2 21-year-olds. And you have, the left hand not talking to the right. And it's just, to me, it's unacceptable. If you have to, and if the Idaho State Police, which we hear the superintendent, we're hearing less and less from him too, if you notice. He's not saying much either. Brian went and took an interview with him and he was fumbling for words, So if you have people who are more experienced in handling a big case like this, give it over to them and let them handle it, because I'm actually cringing at the next press conference. I don't even know what's going to come out of this, but I'm certain within the next couple of days we'll have another one of these.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, I'm sorry to cut you off right now, but I got to take off.
All right, Ed. Ed is in Indonesia, right? He's doing army training, and he was so kind. I had computer troubles all day. I have Ed full screen. Ed, we thank you so much for taking out the time when you're traveling like this. And it's not that you're on a holiday. Ed is not on vacation. He's working. He's teaching. So for him to do this, we're so grateful. During the week, it's going to be hard, right, for us to get together. I'm going to get Dr. Joni Johnson to come on and give the forensic psychologist side of it. She's a clinical forensic psychologist and a private investigator. So I don't know if we'll be able to work this in with you, Ed, but I'm going to try the best to try to get her where we can do this. But if we can't, then, Ed, again, he's 13 hours ahead of us. So thank you so much, Ed, for dropping.
So now we've done lives from 2 continents and 3 nations. Okay, so we got to keep track now. So
can you name these? I know it was Iraq,
Burkina Faso,
right?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, no, two continents and 4 nations. So we did Erbil, Iraq, and we did Morocco in Africa, and we also did Burkina Faso in Africa, and now we're doing Indonesia in Asia. So
wow,
there you go.
Amazing, Ed. Thank you so much, brother. Stay safe out there. Keep in touch. Me and Ed have been talking every day, so we're going to keep in touch. Everybody loves you, Ed. Thank you so much for being here. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right. Take care, folks. Be safe. Be prepared. Watch your 6.
Thanks, Ed. We'll talk to you soon. David Osaka. Thanks, Ed. Love you, buddy. So David Osaka has just chimed in with a super chat. Let's see what he had to say. Great job tonight, DutyRon and Ed. Much appreciated. Hey, I wanted to play this clip from Good Morning America because this was from, I believe, this morning. So I want to play the rest of this from the beginning. I want you guys to hear this, and then we'll wrap it up. But I have one or two more things to tell you guys, so don't go anywhere.
Some new information this morning on the murders of those 4 college students in Idaho. Police say a 6th person's name is listed on the lease of the home where the attack happened, but they don't believe that individual was there at the time of the crime. 3 of the 4 victims lived in this rental home with 2 other roommates who were also at home at the time of the killings, but not hurt. Those roommates have been ruled out as suspects. The 4th victim was visiting for the night. Newsnation did look into where their bodies were found, and we received this layout of the home that you see here. All of those who were killed were on the 3rd floor.
Jen, send me that link. Jennifer Lynn Gibbs sent in those pictures that we just showed before. Send me the link on either send it on Twitter, and then I'll show it at the end of this.
Of the house. Police did look into where their bodies were found, and we received this layout of the home that you see here. All of those who were killed were on the 3rd floor of the house. Police are now reaffirming they believe that this was a targeted attack after saying that they were uncertain. Now, weeks later, there's still no persons of interest, no suspect. Newsnation's Ashley Banfield, she's been covering this story extensively every single night on her show. Ashley, what is your reaction? What is the significance of this 6th name on the lease? Or is it merely a technicality?
Yeah, we're sort of trying to figure that one out. But I will say, Adrian, that we've always wondered about the 6th bedroom. There were 6 bedrooms in this house and only 5 roommates. 4 people were killed, but one of the people who was killed was sleeping over. That was Ethan Chapin. I just want to ask your control room, though, if they could pop up that 2nd floor design, that layout, too, because that's the floor right there, the 1st floor, Adrian, where the 2 survivors were discovered. This is the 2nd floor. Over on the right-hand side, that's actually where we believe Ethan and Xana were found. And this 3rd floor layout, we believe, is where 2 of the victims were, Kaylee and Maddie. But now we know in one of the bedrooms. They weren't in either of their bedrooms. Both girls were in one of the bedrooms and in one bed. So as far as the sixth roommate goes, we can tell you that we believe that Kaylee was in the process of moving out. She was about to graduate in January. She'd already lined up a job and she'd bought herself a Range Rover. And the word was that she was coming over to the house to show her best friend, Maddie, her new silver Range Rover. And it even had temporary plates on it. So the theory that she may have been moving out, got the new car, was about to get the new job, does square. But does that mean that someone else was about to move in, a sixth roommate on the lease? Or does it mean there was somebody who actually signed up for that sixth bedroom, which we believe, if you pop that second floor map up again, is the room across from the kitchen. There's the first floor again, and then watch for the second floor. You'll see the kitchen will be on the right at the back of the house. And then that green room C, that's the room that we believe is unoccupied. I will say this, Adrian, it's very, very sad. We do know that someone was killed on that second floor, in that second floor bedroom on the right-hand side of the house, because that back wall of the bedroom is the outside wall where we have now seen the very, very horrific scenes of blood actually leaking outside of the house from the floor of that second bedroom on the right-hand side of the house, down that foundation. So bodies on the second floor, we believe Ethan and Xana in that far bedroom, and bodies on the third floor. That would be Kaylee and Maddie, but we don't know which bedroom. Kaylee's on the right-hand side on the third floor, or Maddie's on the left-hand side of the third floor.
Oh my goodness. You know, Ashley, Brian Entin, he did interview police and the DA. Police have gone back and forth as to whether this is targeted or not. I guess they're now saying, yes, it's targeted. And then the DA is saying likely not. So let's listen to this sound.
The investigators believe that whoever's responsible was specifically looking at this particular residence, but that's all that they can offer at this point.
So maybe the location was targeted, but you've said you do not, or maybe you question whether or not this was a targeted attack. Why?
I'll tell you what, Brian Entin and I work on this story every day for about 14 hours a day, and he and I are confused. So that should tell you something. I can just tell you what they have put out publicly. At the very beginning of this case, of course, everybody in Moscow, Idaho, the university campus, they were terrified. There's a deranged mass murderer on the loose. Somebody went and stabbed 4 people to death. It's a personal, horrendous, violent crime. So right away, the police said, let's pull it back a notch. This is a targeted attack, which was supposed to perhaps put the community at ease. Then they walked that back somewhat because they wouldn't say why. They wouldn't say why they thought it was a targeted attack. Understandably, they're investigating. They said that was part of the investigation. Then the interviews with the prosecutor started coming in. Brian Entin asked him very specifically about that. And he said, you know, maybe targeted isn't the best word to use. It could be the house that was targeted, or the people inside, 1 or 2 or 3, but we're not sure. Well, then that was an awkward change to the wording. And then that prosecutor did an interview with KTVB in Boise, Idaho, and said 1 person in the house was targeted. Well, that's a massive development in the story. But only hours after that tweet went out to promote that interview was coming, the city of Moscow said the police are putting out clarification again and saying, we don't even know, if the house or the people inside were targeted. Well, now everybody got into a real panic, like targeted isn't even the issue anymore. And yet again, last night, another clarification. The final clarification may have been an issue of semantics, Adrian, and that is that, let's walk that one back. We do know there's a targeting, 100%. It's a targeted attack. What we don't know is if it's the house or the people. So hopefully that provides some clarity, but it's been very, very difficult for the journalists covering the story moment to moment, let alone the people who live there and the kids on campus and the parents who send their kids there or may have sent their kids back there after.
Yeah, this is frustrating on many different levels. And I'll tell you this, you could bet your bottom dollar that the killer is watching all of the news reporting. And there's no question in my mind that the killer or killers are watching this stuff. I have just stuff that I saved before we went live, and I looked and scanned some of my social media. I didn't see anything in the inbox, but I could just tell you this, that Brian Entin from Newsnation, he tweets quite a bit. So I'm going to look at my Twitter and I'll go and check Brian Entin. I want to, yeah, you know, I know that law enforcement has gone back to the location, and that's what everybody's talking about right now. So I'm just going to search quick because I saw he had a couple of snippets on his. Hold on, let me just. All right. So here's the interview that everybody was talking about. Hold on, this is the interview with the parents. I'm going to play this because I know everyone was wanting to see this. This is, I think, what everybody was talking about. Oops. There it is. All right, here we go.
You know, we still don't know where the dog was found. I've asked and asked, and they won't give that answer. So,
And the dog going to the Humane Society.
yeah, we do know that he wound up going there, but just where he was found in the home.
But I mean, could he have had blood on him?
That's the question. We don't know.
We'll never know.
Could he have jumped on
That
them and
chain's been broke.
scratched them? And because he was a jumper, could that person have hair on him? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was he a barker?
Nope.
Not at all. Murphy was actually, he's still kind of a puppy. He just recently is turning one.
He'll be one on the 27th.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was pretty young and he was used to people, you know, being around a lot. He lived with 5 girls.
Do you think if a stranger came in, he would have caused a ruckus?
No, I don't believe so. I honestly think if anything, he
He's
probably
just a
would have
goofy-
hid.
Yeah, he's a big goofy dog.
You know, we still don't know where the dog was found. I've asked and asked, and they won't give that answer. So,
And the dog going to the Humane Society.
So those are just little clips from Brian's Twitter. So I'm going to look. Here's a look at some investigators. This isn't 30 seconds long. I believe this was from tonight. Yeah. Yeah, this is from 13 minutes ago, according to my feed. And this was a minute.
Is there anyone that you have a weird feeling about that the girls knew or that comes to mind?
yeah, I would say not in the immediate circle by any means, but a few of the names that have been circulating around, I think it's hard not to kind of, you know, dig into this. And I don't know how much of that is just because we have so little information from law enforcement and how much of it really is, you know, a sister or a father's intuition.
Can you elaborate at all? I don't know. You don't have to give a name, but I mean, is it someone that she knew or?
I have something to say about that. I just feel like there's been a couple individuals that were cleared very fast. That may not, maybe he shouldn't have been. And yeah,
She had the strong alibi.
just really fast.
If you can dismiss,
an hour later, and we're like, what? And I don't know. I don't know anything about those individuals. I just know.
Right.
So this is my problem with this, and this is both Ed and I's. We spoke about this together, and many good investigators. I know Bill Cannon would say the same thing. These kind of interviews are like what we talk about when the news is good for us, and then the news is bad for us. You see, these people should not be saying this on the news. They should be telling the investigators. But I sense that the frustration is that they're saying this because maybe the investigators are not taking these statements from them, or maybe they did give the statements to them and they still are doubling down and doing this. I don't know. I don't 100% know. But what I do know in my heart is that these type of sensitive statements or information from in close family should only be conveyed to the investigators. That's what I'll say. So it's unfortunate that it's out there. It's being played, but you know, they should be giving this information to whoever's investigating this case, the lead investigator. And again, misinformation, that's a really good statement right there. Hold on a second. I want to just get that comment and put it up on the screen. hold on. It said misinformation. This just spreads misinformation. Yeah. I mean, listen, a lead is a lead is a lead. And it should all be going, and I have it linked down below in the description. The tip line and the email address, that's the only places that should be getting this stuff right now, because A, we don't have a suspect. The police does not have a suspect name. And B, they're still trying to figure this out. So when you try to figure it out, little pieces of the puzzle is what makes a break in these cases, you know? So that's the situation here. This is from yesterday, a bunch of investigators leaving the house. I'm going to show this. This was from yesterday, so I'll put it back to the beginning. So this was December 2nd. So additional maybe specialists from the FBI or from the state going in and leaving the house. He was talking about the tape, restringing the tape. What's that? Yeah, he just asked him if he was leaving, so he's going to take the tape so he doesn't break it, and he's going to push it down probably or take it out. Joe Murray says policing has become a very difficult job in the U.S. Law enforcement has been so demonized and attacked from every angle. Moreover, nobody in their right mind wants the job anymore. So we get what we get. Yeah. We get what's left. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thank God we have people like Ron that don't give us BS info. Everything that we give to you here is from the police perspective, from a police detective's perspective. All right, Sid, thank you. Take care. Sounds like a helicopter too, going over. So let's just take a look, and I want to look at what the latest is. Let me see if there's anything in my inbox. Messages. Nope. All right, guys. So I think that's enough for tonight. You know, misinformation helps to spread more, more rumors and more, false reports. So I want to just say this, it's easy to point the finger at people who you think are suspects. But the problem is when you do that, there's consequences with it, because those particular people now start to get attacked. If you feel someone's a suspect and you have strong information on it, send it over to the police department. Send it over to the people who are investigating it. That's the best advice that I can give you, because your information anywhere but the people who are responsible for bringing people to justice, in other words, spreading that information in a Reddit group or on Facebook or in some chat room or in a Discord group, does not help. So I'm not saying flood the tip line with visions and dreams that you've had. Flood that tip line with potential information that you think is pertaining to the case. And if anybody gives you information that lives in that neighborhood or is an on-campus student, encourage them to send it over to the tip line. Don't encourage them to jump on someone's channel and start talking about it. I cringe when I see these, when I see this stuff. I want to just see this little piece right here. Authorities say that they received thousands of tips regarding Forest Lane University of Idaho students. And this is the authorities talking about misinformation. So I'm going to close the show with this. I'm going to play this for you guys. Let's go full screen with it. And
we still believe it's a targeted attack.
From the beginning, police repeatedly calling the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students a targeted attack, even issuing a statement saying evidence indicates that this was a targeted attack.
Somebody targeted these individuals for some reason.
But last night, a news statement led to confusion about whether the police stood by that theory. The department posting, detectives do not currently know if the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted, but continued to investigate. That statement brought a flurry of headlines suggesting police were doing an about-face. But they now tell CNN their post was in response to comments made by Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, who said in an interview that the home of the victims and specifically one or two of the roommates may have been targeted. That alone is what police say they are clarifying, telling CNN, "We remain consistent in our belief that this was indeed a targeted attack, but have not concluded if the target was the residents or its occupants." The police chief reaffirming that this morning.
Why you believe it was targeted, or the reasons, are so crucial to the investigation that they cannot be revealed?
And we are not going to reveal that. That's part of that investigation, trying to pull the pieces in that will help give us the before, the during, and the after.
Police have towed all of the cars from in front of the home and confirmed they've received some lab tests back from the crime scene, though they won't say what they are. Meanwhile, the Moscow community is in mourning. As they gathered at a candlelight vigil Wednesday night, several of the victims' families spoke about their tremendous loss.
The circumstances that bring us here tonight, they're terrible. The hardest part, we cannot change the outcome.
And they also spoke about what comforts them during this difficult time.
They shared everything. They eventually get into the same apartment together. And in the end, they died together in the same room, in the same bed.
All right, guys and girls, that's all I got for you tonight. I hope each and every one of you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And, we're hoping that sooner than later, there's an answer in this case. The longer this thing goes on, and tomorrow is going to be 3 weeks, the tougher it is going to get to solve it. So I'm hoping that they come up with a piece, that one little piece that they need to put the puzzle together. I want to thank everyone for the replay views, and for those of you who subscribe to Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, make sure you're following us on all things social media, all one word, DutyRon, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And if you're new and or a returning subscriber, I say thank you. I give you thanks and praise for sticking with me and Ed Wallace. I'm going to have Dr. Joni Johnston, a forensic, oh, I got lost for words. Forensic psychologist. My goodness, it's getting late. She's going to be coming on. She's a clinical forensic psychologist. She's going to be coming on with us. I've got to work out the times. Be looking for that video, and also a video on college campus safety and how to keep your home safe and secure. That's going to be with John Correa from, he has a great YouTube. It's called Active Self-Protection. He's going to come on with us, and he's going to give education for college students worldwide on how to keep yourself safe and also how to secure your apartment or your living space. I think that's an important thing to discuss in this current climate that we're in right now, looking at these 4 murders. All right, guys and girls, as I always like to end this, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of you here in the chat, but especially the victims of crime and their families. We send them strength, prayers, and positive vibes. These 4 families need us now more than ever, and let's send them strength. Peace and love from DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Thanks for joining, and make sure you watch this ending outro, because Cara, Ed's dog, is added to the security detail. Thank you, Ange. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, mods, and thank you all.